VGK survives a wild third period to beat the Canucks in Vancouver in comeback fashion last night. VGK is stacking wins now, but will this continue in December? And the crusade by some of our followers continues for a VGK enforcer.
Your Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. I'm Tony Cardasco, along with Chris Collick from Las Vegas. You could hear us each and every day right here on Locked On VGK on Twitter, at Locked On VGK, at Locked On TD Chris G, at Locked On Tony Dasco, and of course, our YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. Please subscribe today. So, Chris, last night I had an opportunity to watch that third period, pretty much all of it. And last night we saw the Golden Knights erase a two-goal deficit in Vancouver, and it was a wild third period last night. There were 6 total goals, and both teams really were just going up and down the ice. We knew that it could be wide open at times. They also broke a camera lens in the process, and so VGK prevails in this game. It was a wild affair.
A wild affair is a fair way to put that. The first 2 periods, I was kind of passively watching while I was doing my work. And I had, this is a tweet I put out there, I had flashbacks of 2020 in the bubble against the Vancouver Canucks. All these shots, some pretty good opportunities, but they couldn't get one by Thatcher Demko. And then Jack Eichel says, hold my coffee, and decides to ping one off of Mark Stone, decides to ping one off of Will Carey, and all of a sudden things are looking a little bit better. And then, like you said, absolutely mayhem ensues in the third period. And one of my keys to the game that we've been tossing out there was don't let this game become a track meet and a boring game. It was anything but that. And Bruce Cassidy certainly alluded to that in his post-game presser, mentioning that you flip the script and, the Mike Tyson reference, right? Everyone's got a game plan until you got punched in the mouth. And both teams punched each other in the mouth pretty hard yesterday. And the result was, what was that, 2-1? The result was 5-4, if my math is right. A 7-goal third period, something like that. I mean, just complete chaos, not great hockey, fun hockey, not great hockey. 2 goals taken off the board, 1 for an offside, 1 for the little more untraditional way, having a foreign object on the ice due to the cameraman peeking that camera out a little bit too far, and just crazy. I mean, just crazy, fun, odd, strange, bizarre.
Yeah, that was the disallowed VGK goal scored by Mark Stone, which would have given me more of those fantasy points in your contest there. But the camera crept out. It comes,
it's fixed.
They have that.
It's fixed.
Again, it's over in that corner.
That's my uncle in the corner.
And it was Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who I thought at first it was Keegan Colasar, but it was not. It wasn't one of his shots that broke the camera. But no, I've got Al Powers, who's one of our followers, a good friend and a listener. I think it's happened to him before at T-Mobile. He's a photographer. I think he's actually had one of his cameras broken, but I thought it was a second puck. I thought it was another puck.
So did I at first. That's what I thought. Thought when I ref beer league hockey, and this is a little more of a common mistake in my ranks, not the NHL ranks, but you pick up a puck, you take it out of your pocket, you put it up on that ledge, like right by the score table, and sometimes you forget to grab it. And I've actually had situations where a couple players bump each other, and all of a sudden another puck pops up. It's like, oops, forgot to do my job on that one.
That's what I thought it was. I thought another puck. That would have been great, though. You might want to keep an extra one in your pocket, just so
money puck.
Right, just slow down the game. Will Carrier, 2 goals in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Will Carrier, what a delight right now. And you knew he had that's the drive to the net ability. He has that physicality, and now he's starting to put it all together. We've seen flashes of this in the past. I mean, he rushes the net every single game. You feel like he's coming up on his backhand and just finds a way to either drive right in or create a scoring chance for someone else. And I mean, this is another acquisition early on that is really starting to pay some dividends come season number 6. And one of the reasons line 4 is massively outplaying line 3. We'll talk a little more about that in the next segment, but line 4 is doing remarkable things right now, and it is creating a problem for this Golden Knights team. It's a good problem, but it's also a problem for this Golden Knights team right now.
It was the sixth time that Vancouver has blown a third period lead this season. So Bruce Boudreau might have to go back to acting. I thought he was going to get fired. Literally, we talked about this yesterday. I thought after the game, I thought enough is
I'm waiting
enough.
for the announcement. I'm waiting for it.
It
I
should
got
be
a
coming
feeling it's
pretty
coming
soon.
before their next game. I don't know when
I'm
their
going to
next
go to
game is, but it's
BetOnline.
coming.
Let's go see if he's on BetOnline, first coach to be fired. It's got to be him.
That'd be a great stat right there.
I think
While we
we
got
should do
a
that.
second here, we started our locks of the night. Little goofy thing we're going to do. A tribute to me growing up with the Chicago White Sox. Their pick to click. So I might have borrowed it and changed some names and things like that. So I pick 2 players. Tony picks 2 players. We'll put a tweet out on VGK game days for one of our loyal listeners and followers to pick 2 players. We'll randomly pick 2 players. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I'm just going to go down the list. And if you send a creative message along with it, maybe that'll get you bumped up a little bit. I don't know. You make fun of
Hey,
Tony's fog or his
no. Hey, but
eyeglass lens.
I told you this. I told you the stinking league is fixed. I get another Mark Stone goal, and somebody breaks a camera lens. Okay, like
Told you, it was my
I
uncle
can't buy
down
a
there in the
break.
corner there. He's
I
got you.
cannot get a break with any of these contests or anything. My
That's
picks.
awesome. That's awesome. So I had Petro and Carly. And if we take the average number of points for my 2, they each had 2 points. But Carlson failed to get on the scoreboard, but Petro got me 4 points. That's
No
2
goals in his
assists.
last 11 games.
That's right. That's 2 assists, 1 goal. Tony went with Marchie and Stone, total of 4 points. Stone with a goal and 2 assists. And then the family, my good friend Ray's Benson, otherwise Sin City Sports, went with Stevenson and Smith. You got a goal and assist, so you got 3 points there. So fun start. Obviously, having a 5-goal outburst certainly makes the locks of the night a little more of an interesting stat to follow. Interesting game.
So are we going to have cumulative stats?
Oh
Is
yeah,
this going to
This
be
is
a
cumulative.
season
This is
long
running. This is running all
contest?
season. This is running
You're going
all
to
the way
run this
until the
all
final
season
playoff game.
long.
Yes, all season long, all
You're
the
a
way until the end.
maniac. Okay. Talk about Alex Pietrangelo if you can. He's one of the best scoring defensemen in the league, and he just of late he always seems to be around the goal, and he always seems to be around the puck. And still, I remember earlier in the season I had concerns about him pinching too much because he is really in deep on a lot of those possessions, but it's paying off right now for the VGK.
20 and 20. That's 20 points, 20 games so far, which is pretty remarkable. There was concerns when he was signed a few years back for the weight of his contract, if you will. And, right now, all of a sudden, that's looking like a very sexy contract as we have a defenseman that's putting up, a Roman Yossi type numbers who might somehow sneak into the top 15 in points and be in the top, 3 or 4 in points amongst defensemen right now. So it's a huge thing for the VGK to be getting these opportunities from the defense. On the flip side, Shea Theodore seems a little bit quieter, but I think that's just some variance right there, and hopefully Theodore his offensive output will continue. But Pietrangelo is doing absolutely remarkable things right now, and his minutes aren't really going down. He's all over the ice doing everything that needs to happen, whether it's finding ways to get what appears to be those lazy shots to converting those to high danger chances. The goal, the game-winning goal, he's coming up the right circle and the puck finds him, and he dusted 5-hole for a VGK winner. So there's not enough good things you can say about Pietrangelo and how he is helping to keep the offense clicking.
Yeah, in the game last night, I like the response. We talk about the response at times, down 2 goals, no panic, and then that's when VGK really started to make a run. That's when they pushed, in that contest, and I thought that was pretty good. I like to see that type of response out of this team, and the VGK scored the last 3 goals with Carrier, of course, Carrier, Smith, and Pietrangelo, each scoring goals Horvat had to have a goal in there because we knew he would score. So I should have. Can I pick opponents to score too?
That might be fun, actually. We'll talk. Maybe we'll have a wild card somewhere in there down the road. But
What do you
Elias
think of their
Pettersson, there's a
response?
yeah,
What do you
right.
think of their response last night by the VGK?
Elias Pettersson, another remarkable talent for the Vancouver Canucks, and you can go up and down that Vancouver line, starting with Quinn Hughes, Pettersson, Bo Horvat, and there's so many more. JT Miller, and then you do have solid goaltending, at least in spurts, in Thatcher Demko. Not last night. I don't know what he was thinking when he was trying to clear that puck right down Broadway at the end. That basically led to the to
Awful performance.
it really was, and they seem to have solved them. But this is something that I did put out there last night. I started the show about this. There was flashbacks of the bubble, but this VGK team found a way. We have this guy named Jack Eichel. Last time I checked, he's pretty good at hockey. And that is the difference in a game like this. Eichel and Cassidy both, I think, and just things clicking in general. But the fact that now you have these answers in these games when you do feel like you're struggling, when you do feel like the team is not going to get a goal, that feeling is not there for the VGK. We're going to talk about some of my concerns in a little bit here, but right now, no matter what the situation is, VGK is in every single game. VGK is in every single game. The only game they lost by multi goals was the Sharks game. The unfortunate side of that was there was multiple empty net goals at the end. So as far as not when the goalie was pulled, VGK has been in every single game this year. And, there's a lot of positive to take away right now, but this was also a very unsteady road trip. Should have been 4 points. I think that's a fair way to say it. Sure, we'll take 3 out of 4 in the grand scheme of things, but I do believe there are some concerns and troubled waters ahead.
And we'll talk about that when we return. VGK is sailing off to the fast start, but will they be there in the end? What happens next month? Will they be again on top when they're facing a lot of these top contenders? We'll talk about that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. BetOnline.net is your number one source for your sports betting information, for your stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer and esports. We've got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. We are always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts.
You made it, Tony. I heard the hiccup. You made it. Good job.
Was there a hiccup in there? Okay, so I have been broadcasting games, a ton of games, basketball games. And yesterday I had 2 games and spent the entire day in the gym. It's not about just exerting myself and utilizing my voice. There over at the Dollar Loan Center Arena, you have to make sure because it's not the Dollar Loan Center. At the arena, the ice is still underneath the basketball court, and it is chilly in there. And you don't realize
bad ice, Tony. Bad ice.
It is some bad ice, I'm telling you, and you don't realize it until you're sitting right there at courtside and your feet are getting cold, and I'm right on top of the ice. Basically, I'm not in the stands. I'm right on top of the ice. Okay, I'll quit whining. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. A little hiccup in there, huh? Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Gawlik from Las Vegas. He is at TD Chris G. I am at Tony Dasco on Twitter and at Locked On VGK. Locked On Golden Knights is our site there on YouTube. Please go there and subscribe and comment. I love all those beautiful comments. They're so special. It's Thanksgiving week. I am very thankful for all of those comments. So, like that Loverboy song, right? The kid is hot tonight, but where will he be tomorrow? Okay, VGK is hot right now, but where will they be tomorrow? I question sometimes the strength of schedule to fix the strength of schedule currently, right? But it will get more difficult in December. And I know that, Chris, is a concern of yours as well.
Yeah, and first and foremost, we can only play who's on the schedule, so we're not going to hold that against the VGK.
No,
but
it's fixed.
We will. Well,
they
then you can say it's fixed
again.
that they're.
What's the over/under this Saturday? Seriously, 9 goals on the board? Will we have 9? Can I get 8.5?
On Saturday, who are they playing? Saturday, that's Vancouver again. That's Vancouver. That's right. Yeah, who knows? So first of all, I mean, if we're going to talk about that, then the Honda Pacific, Tony, the Honda West, if you will, isn't much better. And this is one concern as well. I mean, you look up and down the the Pacific right now. The Kings are 24 points. We got a 7-point lead right now. Seattle's still hanging out in that third spot right now. As of now, Calgary and Edmonton are both below the cut line. The Sharks only got 3 points less than the Edmonton Oilers right now. Edmonton and Calgary are going to figure things out, I believe, and work their way up the standings. And, that's probably going to be your 2, 3, and 4 seeds. And I don't know if Seattle's there in the end, but maybe they will be. Who knows? But point being, the Pacific, to quote my good buddy Chris Condos, is a little bit Charmin right now. It's pretty soft, and it's going to be interesting to see how that affects the VGK going forward. So now let's go ahead and fast forward to the schedule here. This week, again, Ottawa, Seattle at home on Friday. Seattle's been decent, but VGK has not lost to Seattle yet. Hopefully that continues. Vancouver again on Saturday on a back-to-back. So Aiden Hill is going to keep his Saturday streak going right now and make his, I believe, his 4th consecutive Saturday starts. Then we hit on the road for a nice little roadie here. You got Columbus, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Boston. That's not going to be easy. Then we come home, the Rangers, Flyers, which who knows what to expect out of the Flyers, Boston. You travel to Winnipeg and Chicago, not going to be easy. And then at home, Islanders, Buffalo, Arizona, St. Louis. I like that one. But then you got the Kings and Anaheim back-to-back road games, and then you got the matinee against Nashville. That's not an easy schedule. Some of the spots in there don't seem that bad, but in general, that's not going to be an easy schedule. But my concern right now isn't just the schedule and the teams that have been beaten. It's that third line. The third line took 2 shifts in the third period last night, folks. 2 shifts in the third period. I think they logged under a minute of ice time right now. And again, good on the fourth line for doing what they're doing right now. But you got to have 4 lines rotating. And this is now a challenge for Kelly McCrimmon, whether it's going to be in-house. I put a tweet out there last night, a little someone for VGK to maybe keep their eyes on down in Henderson. He goes by the name of, you look the guy up here, Sheldon Rempal. Rempal, as of last night, was 6-7, 6 goals, 7 assists, 13 games with the Silver Knights. Now, the concerning factor, he's been up and down since 2018-19, starting with Ontario, then the Kings, Carolina Hurricanes. He has yet to log a single point at the NHL level. But at the AHL level with Abbotsford, 33 goals, 36 assists, 69 points in 55 games. A stint with the Chicago Wolves, 14 points. And then Ontario Reign, 21 points. So he's treading the right direction. Is this a player that, McCrimmon, McPhee have targeted? The scouts maybe said, listen, let's scratch a lottery ticket here and see what happens. Hasn't done it at the NHL level yet. He's had chances, but just maybe someone like that could be the energy that the third line needs. Do they do something wild and the third line becomes Nick Waugh, Will Carrier, and insert someone else here, breaking up this remarkable love affair of a fourth line? Who knows? But the schedule's going to get tougher. And right now, VGK has 3 lines that are putting points on the board. So something has to give if this team is going to make a deep run right now.
Really good observation there about the third line, the lack of minutes played, especially in that wild, crazy third
and unnoticeable
period.
in other games.
Yeah, they
Call it what
really
it
do.
is.
It's Phil Kessel. It's just Phil Kessel. I don't know. Right now, he's just overrated. I mean, he's a name, yes. Is he giving them productivity? At times when he asserts himself, I do believe, there is a different level, different speed for Kessel. Did Jake Leschyshyn play last night?
Yeah, Lecision was line 3 center. And
Yeah.
again,
How
and that could
so?
be
How
part
did
of
you
it
rate
too. I
him?
mean,
They just want to ease him in, you think?
Say that again, please.
They want to ease him in, more or less?
It was a strange game, strange happenings, and just a bad situation for line 3. Lecision and Cotter, you would hope they have some type of chemistry. Obviously, they've played a lot of minutes together, both at the AHL and the NHL level historically. But it obviously wasn't there. And this is just a spot where maybe you shorten the bench up because a track meet did break out, and lines 1 and 2, they're going to get looks. They're going to put points on the board, as they did, as our locks of the night would indicate. That's where most of our picks came from. I had Carlson, that didn't work out, but so be it. Point being, though, is that when you need goals, you're going to go to the people that have done it, whether it's historically or in that game. So let's see what happens on Wednesday. And let's also see what happens when Nick Waugh comes back. Nick Waugh is a big piece of this lineup, kind of quiet, but at that $3 million salary, maybe I'm going to eat my words a little bit here and say he's a little more important to the team than I thought when I put the tweet out where I thought we overspent by about 500,000, and I got roasted for a day while I was trying to enjoy my roll and smoke barbecue. I still remember that day. It just devastated me.
uh,
So
again,
good.
so
No
so
offense.
I'm not picking on William Carlson, but defensively on that Shen goal, he didn't even try to block the shot. So he was in front of Shen. Okay, I saw it right there before my very eyes, and he doesn't even try to. He just kind of stands up and like cringes and gets real tight, but doesn't do anything to try to block that shot because he knew a heater was coming. I'm sure, but he's not. He's struggling on the ice. I don't care what anyone says, and he hasn't scored a goal in 11 games.
It's all
I mean,
fair, and
yeah, it's like that's a fact, folks. These are facts right here, and he's going to have those spurts where he scores, and then I don't know what happens there, and he can't find the net, and he hit a couple of shots the last few games, had a couple of shots that went right into the crest. He's not trying to do anything creative. He wanted creativity. I feel as though Bruce Cassidy is giving him the green light to have that creativity, and what's happening now?
so William Carlson, 13 points, 20 games. That's a clip of roughly 53 points, not where you want your line two center to be. Now, if we erase the last few games, his point per game was probably around 0.72, 0.7, whatever that number is. So hopefully this is simply, the highs and lows of, what any player goes through, whether it's at the NHL level or at the AHL level. Stick tap to my little quick one hitter with Brisson the other day, where he didn't like me asking him about that, but so be it. That's certainly how it goes.
What was
And
his reaction again?
I've scored at every single level. I'm not too worried about it, and it just I rubbed him the wrong way. I get it, and that's fair. That's fine. That's I guess that's what we're supposed to do to a degree. Ask some of these questions that gets him thinking a little bit. So whatever. So be it. But back to William Carlson. Yes, it's all fair. He's definitely not doing as much as he needs to do in these last few games. And another one, Tony, was actually worse in my opinion. Was the Elias Pettersson, pardon me, where Pettersson comes in right down Broadway. Carlson's on his tail, but he let him get behind, and Pettersson gets not one but two grade A shots. The second shot obviously goes in, and Carlson was trying to tackle him at that point, but it was done. So you have to give it both ways. I've been a very strong supporter of Carlson through his start. I was very supportive of how I thought the season was going to play out for him. I think under Cassidy's system things will be better, and they have been better early on. But sure, there is a little bit of a struggle as of late. But Marchie and Riley Smith certainly picking up the slack there. And is this a spot where I know that line one is doing it right now, but is this a spot where you reconsider these balanced lines again?
Mm.
Do you break up the misfits again? Do you break up line one again? Like, do you start doing these things, or do you leave line one alone? You leave Eichel, Stevie, and Stone by themselves, and then
Why not?
you
Why
just
not
put
put
them all in the
Carlson on
blender.
that third line again? Right? Again, that could be an option. Okay, with
Then
all the
Nick Waugh becomes the line two center. Is that too much responsibility for him? I don't know.
I don't know. He
But yes,
needs
I'm
to
not
grow.
against it.
Yeah, he needs to grow. And he wasn't really bad, on that second line. I thought that was working. Obviously, they had a lot of wins early, but with all the pieces that they have within this organization, had to go there. That they have within the organization, who do you think, if you had a dream line right now, just with the pieces they have already, who might you put with all the pieces, AHL level, obviously, within VGK on that third line? And how much longer, seriously, will they stick with Phil Kessel? I have to ask that question because I think it's legit.
It's fair. And I'll first of all I'll answer your second question. Phil Kessel was acquired for what Phil Kessel will bring to this team come playoffs. That was when I got on that weird Twitch or tweet, whatever the thing is, the live tweets out. I'm not whatever the live thing is, Twitter Space. There you go, folks. I'm not that hip. But I asked Gary Lawless, what Kessel brings, what type of leadership to this team, and the first thing he went to was playoffs. The very first statement that Gary Lawless made was what Kessel has done in the playoffs. And Kessel's been doing this for, a little while, 1,001 straight games, 1,002, whatever the number is now. So Kessel knows how to manage his body, clearly. He knows how to keep himself in shape throughout the season so he can be that force in the playoffs that his stats indicate he will be. So, I do think Kessel will be in the lineup as long as Kessel is healthy, and I think Kessel will be healthy. My third line right now, I'm not saying Rampal is the answer right now, but maybe that is something in the tool belt you take a shot with some point. But I think once Nick Waugh comes back and is ready, I would like to see Waugh, Kessel, and who else am I thinking right now?
Cotter? No.
No, why am I blanking right now?
Amadio? You're a big Amadio
Maybe. I
fan.
mean, maybe. I definitely want to see Wah and Kessel together on the third line. And then you
Yeah.
could look at Amadio, you can look at Cotter, you can look at, all sorts of different ways. I don't mind any center between Carrier and Coley right now. I don't mind any center between them because Carrier is carrying the mail. I had to get a terrible one in there, but Carrier and Coley are carrying that line right now. Colasar is carrying a line right now. I just said those words to myself, but they are carrying that line as far as their physicality, their offensive ability, and all the things that are happening right now. So line three, a couple different ways you can go. I mean, what if line three becomes Wah, Carrier, and Kessel? Like that's an option too. And then, Paul Cotter on the fourth line could be, become more of an energy type of player along with Howden and Colasar. Does that hurt line four too much to the point where they, become more of that liability line that's getting scored on? I don't know. I know everyone loves this line four the way it is right now, but the simple switch when Nick Waugh comes back might be swapping Waugh and Howden. And I think that's already happening. I think that's why Howden, these last couple of games, seems to be lining up on that line four right now.
You notice Bruce Cassidy does not have Carlson on the ice when there's an empty net. And why can't Jack Eichel hit an empty net?
He tried to
Just
pass that to
three
Marshy. He
times.
had a wide look there. He tried to
Three
pass it.
times, 3 games, right? He's missed an empty net pretty much.
Yeah, something like that. I think I saw someone, I don't know if it was one of our followers or some random person, but it was what VGK sees when there's an empty net, and it was just a big pile of bricks. So, I mean, that's
That's a good one.
unless he's playing the Sabres. Unless he's playing the Sabres. If he's playing the Sabres, he can score across 3 players, past a referee
Right.
with his eyes closed.
Right.
But
Bank,
if he's
bank
4
it off
feet,
the end wall. Yeah.
yeah,
all
exactly.
That.
Nothing
It'll
but
go
net.
in.
Nothing but net.
All
Great
right,
commercial.
coming up
Great commercial.
next, we've got does VGK need an enforcer? A lot of our followers believe so. We'll take a look at that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Hey, if you thought about securing your home with home security but have been putting it off, you want to listen up right now. Locked On VGK listeners can order the #1 rated Simply Safe home security system for just 50% off. This is their biggest offer of the year, and it won't be something that you want to miss. What we like the most about Simply Safe's advanced technology, whether it's controlling your system from your phone, with the app, watching the crystal clear HD live stream with your security cameras, wide variety of high-tech sensors, all of that. Simply Safe was named the best home security system of 2022 by U.S. News and World Report for a third year in a row. In an emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology, and that is exclusively from our friends at Simply Safe to capture the critical evidence at times, verify that the threat is real, so you get priority police response. 24/7 professional monitoring service costs less than $1 per day, Chris, and less than half of the price of ADT's traditional professionally installed system. Don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system that we recommend right here on Locked On VGK. Get 50% off any new Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/LockedOnNHL. That's simply SIMPLI safe.com/LockedOnNHL. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Our podcast free and available wherever you get your podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to Locked On Vegas Golden Knights. Locked On Golden Knights. So we changed the name officially, right?
Sure. We were definitely involved in that conversation. We were asked about that. Absolutely.
Okay. So it's Locked On Golden Knights now rather
Locked
than
on
Locked
Golden
On.
Knights. Yeah.
It's
Locked on
Locked On
Golden. I mean,
VGK.
that makes sense. VGK
okay, Locked
is
On VGK on Twitter. So that's easy.
No, we're I think we're locked on. We're Golden Knights everywhere, Tony.
No, it's too long. At Locked On VGK. Go ahead. Go to your Twitter handle. I know that you tweet a lot, sir.
Okay, it says it's called Locked On VGK, yes, but
Yes.
our name is Locked On Golden Knights now. It's so strange, folks. Just Locked On
Just
VGK,
find
Locked On
us.
Vegas Golden Knights. You'll
That's what
find us.
Google's for. That's what Google is for. Okay. So
Never heard of her.
does VGK need an enforcer? This has been a question that's been posed to us time in and time out. I do believe we need a goon. Why don't we just make the third line the goon line? Everything could be
So
solved.
that would be Ogie Oglethorpe. What was I forgot the Indians name that they brought back in we're referencing Slapshot right now,
Slap
folks,
shot. Yeah.
when they have the
Bruce
championship game.
Boudreau would be on that
Yeah,
line.
Boudreau, exactly, right? So, this kind of stems from I pitched this to Tony last night, just kind of talking about what we're going to talk about today because we have an extra segment being that this isn't a game day. And this goes back, I put a tweet out there. This is the tweet that keeps on giving all week long, but it was from the Arizona, I was called in Phoenix, the Arizona game when Coley and O'Brien had that pretend fight, although Coley took a big right hook in that one. And then going on,
He
they
took
moved.
two right crosses and he
He
was
took a
done.
couple of. I started recording late, is what happened, but still, Joey Howard, loyal follower here, get enforced or it's embarrassing, and then I kind of go up and back, and you know, I'm not a big fan of necessarily the enforcer right now. Wausau Aaron jumps in there, and Wausau and Joey have a little up and back right now, and then Christo Koning comes in, and basically he's a very big supporter of Ryan Reeves. And I'll quote this one here. There's zero chance the Rangers would have made the semis had they not had Reeves. His presence alone changed the entire team dynamic. So if you recall me last spring as the Rangers went through the playoffs, we talked about them a lot because that's Tony's growing up team. We'll say it like that. That's the team that
Still
Tony
my
has
favorite
very
team.
loyally supported. His favorite team. There you go.
I'm
I try not
officially
to
a
say that
fan.
part.
I'm officially a fan.
But yeah, Tony is a big supporter of the Rangers, so we obviously followed him pretty closely. My son's second favorite team is also the Rangers, so that's why I kind of follow him. And I had a little love affair with Ryan Reeves, watching him like everyone did in the spring. Once NBC or not NBC, who was it? Once the cameras caught him, Shiesty release us, and his dynamic on the ice and stuff. Like where Reeves is on the ice, when he's going to hit someone. It energizes the crowd. It creates this excitement. And I felt all summer long, and me and Tony, I think we're on the same page. I wanted to see VGK go after someone who had that charisma, who has that excitement level. But you look at what Ryan Reeves is now doing. I think he still doesn't have a point to date. If he does, it's a couple of lonesome assists, and he's getting scratched a lot. His minutes are diminishing. So even Turk, is kind of turning his back to him. No pun intended, right there. So sure, could VGK use some grit down there? Absolutely. But you can't just waste a spot in the lineup for a goon, for a physical player, for whatever terminology you want to use. And that's where, Tom Wilson, Maroon, even Lucic on the Flames, he has a little more of a role than what Ryan Reeves does. And you go up and down the VGK lineup. Colasar is our guy, and he doesn't want to be the guy. It's clear he doesn't want to fight. Everyone knows that. Carrier has that gear in him, but there's an article I found going back, I think 4 or 5 years before DeBoer went down to Dallas, and it was the Dallas Stars coaches and players like in the paper talking about how they prepare for Ryan Reeves, and to the point where they're even saying, I'll find that article and I'll try and put a link up to it. And it is very interesting that this is how teams prepare for these players, and they are noticeable. So I don't have an answer for this battle. Do we need an enforcer? Do we need a goon? Do we need more of a physical player? But that player is not in the organization right now. Jermaine Lowen maybe is that type of player down at the AHL level, Marino, Wayne Primo, but those players are not even close to NHL ready. Those are players with the Silver Knights. That's an entire line at times, and a very tough line to play against. And if I'm out there, I would not want to be against that line. But there's no one in the organization, however you want to say that who can fill this role right now. And I don't know if it's needed though either, and I go up and back with this, and we'll see what happens in the playoffs. And, but at the moment I'm of the mindset, I'm not too worried about not having this physical grinder fighter type player.
I just think when it's at times still VGK too finesse. I don't know that wins you a Stanley Cup when it
And
gets
that's
really
fair.
gritty.
That's very fair.
And the guy that I wanted Josh Manson when he was out there. I think you remember on
Mm-hmm.
the free agent market, and then Colorado just locked him up, but just a guy that could go out there, he'll thump a few guys, and then if they need to drop the gloves, so be it. But could someone fit in on that third line that is a thumper of sorts?
I mean, someone can fit in anywhere, but it's not just going to be a 6'7" player who can't skate very well and who's only going to hit. Like that's not what the team needs. And can Will Carrier and Colasar continue to carry that role? No pun intended. Again, every time I say Will Carrier, I can get a pun in there about something. But can they continue on with that role where they are physical and they will finish their hits a lot more than a lot of other players? And Paul Cotter might be the in-house solution, but he hasn't been that. Cotter is trying to do more things with skill, and he almost did actually have a real good scoring attempt. I think it was in the second period where he was able to just kind of chip the puck, dodge a check, and almost create a good opportunity. But maybe someone like Cotter could be that. I mean, he's had some good hits. I think he had a real big hit against the Kings in the first game of the year, and Cotter could maybe take on that role, but he has not embraced it yet.
What would you think about moving up the fourth line to the third line and reconstructing the fourth?
That they did that last night. I mean, as far as just keeping the
The
entire
minutes.
personnel together. Honestly, I think a shakeup of the bottom six is the short-term answer to see if that is the long-term solution. And Nick Waugh up there on that third line between, even just start with Nick Waugh. Leave line 4 intact, Howden between Carrier and Coley, and then line 3, whether it's Waugh, Kessel, Amadio, Waugh, Kessel, Paul Cotter, who knows? But I think the short-term solution is seeing what Nick Waugh brings to that third line, because he's already getting the penalty kill and the power play minutes. So it's not like moving him up to the third line is going to change anything there. And then Howden can focus a little more on a defensive role where he doesn't have to carry the mail, because Carrier will carry the mail for. I'm just going to stop.
It's okay. So it is an age in the NHL of more skill players than of these big goons, enforcers, what have you. And so that's why. And a lot of teams don't want to chew up time in the penalty box, too, to be quite frank. If you're going to balance things out, that's the answer, too.
I mean, how many times did we see Ryan Reeves? And that's the thing, like the refs do watch these players a little bit differently. Call it what it is right there. Is it fair? No, but it's the truth. And someone like Ryan Reeves, if he delivers a borderline finishing check that's borderline late, where it could be called roughing or interference or whatever terminology you want to get, he's going to be on the wrong side of that call versus a Paul Cotter, a Will Carrier, a Keegan Colasar, a Jonathan Marchessault, a William Carlson. Never mind, Carlson isn't anybody, but you throw any of those names out there, they're going to not go to the box as much as Ryan Reeves. It's not fair, but it's what it is. When you have that reputation, you do get more calls against you. And it's not just a Ryan Reeves thing. It's Maroon. It's sure as heck Tom Wilson.
So we have coming up Senators. I watched the end of that game too against San Jose. Sharks handled them pretty well. Sharks are a different team, than they were at the beginning of the season.
Yep.
But Senators are Ottawa's starting to just take a step back again. They've got 3 easy, well, not easy, but winnable games for the VGK because the NHL is fixed. So 3 games on home ice: Senators, Kraken, and the Canucks. I mean, Canucks, if they didn't finish off Bruce Boudreau, they will on Saturday.
Yeah, that's honestly that's
Hey,
pretty.
Look
That's
up
the
those
line.
odds. Look up those odds for us.
Yeah,
When you
no,
get a
that's
chance.
I don't know if
First coach
BetOnline
to
has that
retire.
out there, but I put I put minus 115 today is the day, and I think it's probably even like minus 150 by
It's probably going
Sunday
up.
at 11:59 p.m.
All right, so we'll have a preview.
They're going to
tomorrow.
leave him in Vegas at the taxi line, Tony.
Oh.
They're going to leave him in Vegas at the taxi line.
We don't take taxis. We take Ubers now. Okay.
Who?
So get with it. Coming up tomorrow,
Uber
the
X?
Sens Golden Knights. We will preview that game for you. For my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco. I'll be sitting there all afternoon, of course, on that cold ice once again. But I'm not complaining. It's all good. We thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. And don't forget for your second listen to make sure that you check out Locked On Sports Today, that podcast. And have a great day, everyone. For my man, Chris Golick, as I said, Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. See you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights.